Right, guys, here we go. Episode 7. Let's go. Okay, first scene. All right, guys. This is a little bit of a difficult one because it's cool, but there's a couple of issues. Not issues, that's wrong. There's a couple of questions that we have to start asking. So they're clearly the battle is finished, okay? The battle is finished, and they're decapitating the fallen. Now, I'm not saying this didn't happen, it did. But what we find is more often than not, is once a samurai makes a kill, they will then get the head in the middle of the battle, and then they have people or their side assistants. See that guy, he's probably a side assistant, and this guy's a samurai, and they cut their heads off and then return back to try and give in the head first and to be higher in the list of who got their head back first. And then this idea that everybody's waiting till the end of the battle and then they take the heads and then all go back orderly. It's probably not quite that ordered. Most likely, the samurai would run back individually with heads, then back out. If not, they are given different orders sometimes. One of the orders is take noses only. The other order is to put tags in. So you have little like tags on you and you can tag the bodies. But the problem here is people would nick tags, swap tags, or like steal heads. So there was a lot more. This scene is very much reminiscent of that Western battlefield scene where the knights, people are going picking the dead. Actually, I think in Japan, what they would do here, there'd be a lot more guarding of the bodies by the side assistants. There'd be a lot more protecting the samurai from behind, because we do have accounts of them stealing heads, hitting the samurai from taking them away. So that type of thing. But so just be aware this might be a bit more chaotic than you would expect. All of my followers out there know I love this. This is about as cool as samurai gets. As horrible as it is and all the things we have to say nowadays with all the wokeness going around, that's just cool, isn't it? Let's be honest, that's cool. This scene is more important than you would imagine. You see this, it's a flashback to his first battle 46 years ago. You don't see this often in samurai films or just in general knowledge. Is samurai commanders could be really young. Yes, they had assistants, yes, they had generals, but a samurai commander could be really, really young. And we always see them as the old men because they're famous. Many samurai commanders die in their early days because they lose the battle and they're dead. But the ones who become famous and go to the top, nobody remembers them as being young. They're always old men, and you imagine them as old men. Nope, they were pretty young when they did their battles. This is a battlefield, so while that's cool, that's exactly correct. There should also be a helmet stand bearer and a spear bearer. So his spear should be there, and his sword and his helmet. Sometimes we wear these iboshi style caps, but there should be a helmet and a spear bearer somewhere. I'm not sure about this scene, guys. He's surrendering, but what's happened is Toranaga has gone to his camp and he's surrendering. Now, we have an Edo period document from the Natori school where it talks about how a surrendering army, how it happens, and it's very complicated. But I think it would be reverse of this. He would be approaching Toranaga, and there is protocol to go through, different bowing, different formalities, but I'm not sure. Frederick might have found something else, or basically the showrunner might have just gone with this. I'm not sure, but I've only got one piece of evidence that talks about battle surrender, and it's the reverse of this. Now, we've got quite a lot of documents on seppuku, but what is probably a difficult one here is that is Toranaga. That is the seppuku nin, and he's the kaishakunin, the second, but he's asked for Toranaga to be the kaishakunin. However, even though this is a battlefield one, which means it's not a ceremonial one, I'm not sure how realistic it would be to let him close to him. I don't know if there's any precedence for this in real history, but normally nearly every seppuku document I come across is like, do not let him anywhere near anyone important, and the kaishakunin has to be ready to kill him in case he goes forward to attack. And there's rules about the distance so that they can't be attacked. But this is a battlefield seppuku, so I'm not quite sure. Okay, I would say the distancing was out here. Now, we have a seppuku scroll from Hagihara Juzo, who is a Muhyoshiryu practitioner. He's mid-1600s, so it's a little bit 50 years on from this, but he states you should be, whenever you're doing kaishakunin, you should be here with this foot in a line with a certain, I think it's his ear, and getting ready to cut. You don't step and cut, basically. Your foot is in line. He cuts, he raises his head, he straightens his head, then you cut. I'd have to sort of do it out, but basically this seems way too far away. You have to be quite close. Also be ready for him in case he's trying to cut as well. However, that being said, the seppuku scene was pretty cool. It got the feel of it. I liked it. It was very nice. Right, guys, very quickly, we'll get back to it in a minute, but look, Book of Bushido, the complete guide to real chivalry is now on Audible. So come on, guys, go and get yourself a copy of my Audible book. And everybody's been asking for this to be on Audible, so do go get yourself a copy. I couldn't quite capture the shot, guys, but basically there's a meeting of two brothers, and they both dismount their horse at the same time, which might seem like an irrelevant thing, but actually it's a really difficult question to answer. Who is the older brother? I couldn't quite catch it in Japanese, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really hate the older brother, older sister, younger sister in Japanese. It's so confusing. But basically, one of them should have dismounted first, and it's either the senior person or the older brother. There are loads of protocol on dismounting with samurai horses. A lot. So I wouldn't, it's one of those moments where it's like, it's a question, but I don't know the answer. Okay, I'm a little bit confused on this. If I remember rightly, this is the boxes of the heads with her husband and her son, if I've got this right. But they've been away. I don't know the time lapse between the grandfather dropping them off. He said he'd bring them from Osaka. But usually the Japanese do not keep them this long. They are buried, cremated very, very quickly. So them heads have been around for quite some time now and would be smelling something chronic in the Japanese heat. I don't know if this is a book thing, like it happens in the book. I'm not sure. But the Japanese are very quick to get rid of any body parts. Now, if you've not been following, we've been having the interview with Frederick, he's a professor in Kyoto, and he's been doing this, and you can tell, I think this is one of his. The food here, they've got the fish, the lobster, everything looks spot on and beautiful. I think this is a Frederick special. The food is really good. As I said before, I couldn't quite grasp the Japanese of older brother, younger brother. It was too fast. But I obviously assume Torinaga is the older one. He's the younger one, it seems, by the actors. So he's talking about how basically Torinaga crapped his pants, really, when he had to go into hostage. I think there's a reference to Tokugawa Ieyasu allegedly shitting his trousers, fleeing from a battle. And there's actually, he had a portrait commissioned, I think, to commemorate this thing because he was so scared. He said it really was affected his life. Okay, this is cool. It's a double cross by his brother. Again, I don't know, this could be in the book, I assume. But you've got to remember this. Samurai were not the honourable guys you all think they were. They were double crossing each other, power hungry, grabbing. Loads of deception went on. Okay, they keep talking about sticks of time here. Give me one stick of time. And there's the shot of the incense. If I'm reading this correct, basically the Japanese used to do time through sticks. Of incense. There's actually a ninja scroll which talks about you make a bamboo cylinder, you put marks on it for a time, and then you put incense sticks in, and you know how far down the incense is burning will give you how much time you have spent. It's a way of counting time. It was basically a rudimentary clock. Okay, I'm not sure if this is a book thing again, but he's teaching him to fight with a sword, but there is no way he wouldn't know how to fight with a sword. It's the year 1600 and he's a sailor. Sailors are pretty good with swords. That's just a fact. They're sort of like 1600 sailors, one-shot muskets, one-shot pistols, and board-to-board, gunnel to gunnel fighting. He would not have to fight with a sword, and it wouldn't take him long to work out the basic dynamics of a katana. Mostly they have single-handed sabers on ships, but this was the age of swords for sailors. Okay, guys, that's the end of episode 7. I hope you enjoyed. Get yourself a copy of the Book of Bushido on Audible, or even just give it an Audible sample. Have a go, see what you think. Keep on the playlist for next time.